Hello everyone, this is Matt from Railworld Review, and today I'm going to show you how to make the back of your iPhone 8 go from this to this. Well, actually we're going to make it go from this to this. So first off, I want to say that if you can pick out the glass, go ahead, but in most cases it's not going to be this simple. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab a heat gun. With this heat gun we're going to add heat, but first we want to make sure that the phone is off. Once you know that the phone is off, we can continue. Also in this video, I'm going to remove the back panel without opening up the phone. If you're someone that adds too much heat, it might be safer if you remove the battery and the logic board before doing this repair. In this case, I'm just going to leave it all together. We will be heating the back up a lot, but you want to make sure to be very careful. I like to warm up the phone a little bit, especially if it's in a cold environment. You don't want to take your phone from freezing cold to burning hot, so we will just warm it up a little bit and let it sit for a few seconds. Before we get further into the repair, I just want to show you the spots to be careful with. While puncturing the battery is somewhat difficult to do, it is possible. Also, you don't want to add a major amount of heat to the battery area, or else your phone might turn into a Note 7. To make any job safer, you can always remove the battery before the repair, but in this case I did not remove the battery. Anyways, what you want to do is add a lot of heat and get a flat edge in between the glass panel and the plastic area around the metal midframe. It may take a little bit of effort to do so, so make sure that the blade does not slip, because the last thing you want to do is hurt yourself on a broken phone. For this repair, I would definitely recommend protective gloves if you have them. Now if you have your own method to remove glass that is glued down, feel free to do that, but what I like to do is use a blade and a pick. It may not be the best method, but it works for me. Once I get a few pieces off, I will show you the blade and pick method that I will be using to remove the back of the phone. Now that we have a chunk of glass off, I can show you what we're dealing with. You can see the glue attached on here, which is supposed to hold the glass panel down. It looks like Apple just drew some random lines on the back and stuck the panel on. Either way, they did a decent job, and it's not easy to remove this back. I'm afraid of puncturing the battery, so I'm going to start with the left side of the phone and move over to the right side later on. There will be a lot of glass falling off, and I'll spend a decent amount of time cleaning up throughout this video. I definitely recommend you doing the same thing if that happens. You don't want glass getting stuck in your hand on accident. And now I will show you my blade and pick method. Pretty much what I do is I use the blade to get under the glass and use the pick to cut through the adhesive. I believe that this is safer than using just a blade to separate the glass from the frame. If the pick slips and hits your hand, it most likely won't cut it, but a blade will. Something you need to be careful with is a wireless charging module. If you tear this, you will need to replace it to get the wireless charging portion to work. Luckily, the wireless charging panel did not break when it was dropped, but I will still have to make sure that the wireless charging function does work after I do the repair. When removing the glass around the wireless charging panel, I'm going to use a pick. The reason I use a pick is because it's very difficult to cut the wireless charging module with a plastic pick. If you're using a blade, you have a higher chance of ripping that module. Now that we've reached the top of the phone, you want to add a decent amount of heat near the camera, but you still want to be very careful. If you add too much heat, it can melt the plastic camera flash enclosure. Also, there is a possibility of messing up the microphone and the camera, but the major concern is the quad LED flash on the back. Also, the camera lens does sit on the back glass, so the back glass will not lift out easily. You will need to figure out a way to separate the glass from the frame. The easiest way would be to break the glass and then remove the small pieces, but in this case I got lucky removing it all in one piece. Well, you see what I mean. We have now removed a decent amount of glass off the back of the phone, but there's still the right portion that's remaining. There isn't much to it, you just have to make sure not to add too much heat and make sure to be very careful with the blade because the battery is on this side. Once the big pieces are gone, you will need to remove the little pieces on the side. But before I do that, I will remove the camera lens. Now this part may concern some people, but I'm not too sure if there's any other way to change the back glass. So what I'm going to do is remove the camera lens with a flat driver. Make sure to add pressure equally or you can bend the piece surrounding the lens. So I'll add pressure on the right side and then I'll add pressure on the left side. Eventually it will break off the frame in one piece. There's 3 pieces in here and you don't need to separate them, but I'll still show you what they are. There is a camera lens on its metal holder, this circular thing that I call a hat, and a seal of some sort that goes around the metal holder. So now I'll remove the little glass pieces because the next step is to put the back on the phone. Before we add adhesive, we want to line up the back panel with the back of the phone to make sure that the phone is cleaned up properly. You will definitely need to add adhesive, but in this case the back panel that we purchased already has adhesive. I feel that this adhesive is strong enough, so I will put this on the back of the phone. I doubt that this phone will ever be water resistant again, so this is not something that I am worrying about. Once the back is lined up, add pressure to make sure that the back stays in place. Now for the lens. If you didn't separate the parts of the lens, then you shouldn't have to worry about this. If you did separate the parts of the lens, then I will show you how to put them back together. You want to put the hat around the metal holder with a small portion of it where the glass goes and the big portion where the open part is. Hopefully this makes sense. Next we will put the seal under the hat like shown, and it is now ready for glue. I have this 10-second drying glue that I use because I'm very impatient. I like to put glue on something disposable and use a blade to lift a very small amount. We will be putting the glue on the bottom of the camera lens, and then we will carefully set the lens in place. To make sure it dries properly, I will hold it in place for a few seconds. If there is some glue on the back, don't worry too much. You can use a little bit of rubbing alcohol to get rid of the glue that leaked out. If that doesn't work, you can carefully use a flat driver to get rid of the dried glue. You won't scratch the back glass, but you can scratch the metal camera ring, so be very careful. Now I will use some more alcohol to clean up the back glass in the camera lens area. Once it's clean, you're all set. In this case I had to clean it some more, but after some hard work, the back glass looks like new. And that's it. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section or on Twitter at @MattofRWR. And feel free to follow me on the social media listed above. Also, go check out Mike at Go Cell Phone Repair. He recommended that I do a video about this, so I definitely recommend checking out his channel. I hope that this video helped you save money and prevented you from buying a new phone. Thanks for watching.